Today we're going to be taking a look at some rubber dive straps as well as a really cool bracelet from Uncle Seiko. Now, Uncle Seiko makes some of the coolest vintage style watch straps as well as a pretty good selection of high quality bracelets. Originally focused primarily on Seiko divers, obviously with a name like Uncle Seiko. However, you can use these straps on other watches as well. And when I saw the selection of things he was offering, I was so interested in the straps that he had, and particularly the bracelets, that when I was looking for a Seiko diver, I intentionally bought it on the cheapest strap I could find. I got it on the silicone strap because I knew I was going to go and get these Uncle Seiko straps and test them out and try it out. And so that's what I did. I got my Seiko Samurai, and I haven't worn it on the stock strap pretty much at all since these watch bands came in. All right, so I have 4 options in here from Uncle Seiko today. We have 3 different kinds of rubber straps and then 1 beads of rice bracelet. I do want to thank Larry over at Uncle Seiko for sending some of these straps in for review. The beads of rice bracelet, the blue Waffle Strap, and the black GL381 were all given to me by Larry for review purposes, and I do get to keep them after the review is done, so big thanks to him for sending those out. However, I did purchase the Tropic rubber and a black waffle strap for myself because I was looking for these straps for my collection, and it just looked like such a great thing that he was offering. I went ahead and bought my own as well. So some of these are ones that I did purchase myself. Keep that in mind as we go through these straps. We're going to look at the rubber straps first, and then we'll take a look at the bracelet. Now, on the rubber strap side, all of these are straps that were modeled after vintage rubber straps from the past, and he just really nailed, I think, all of the details on here, and the quality is top-notch across the board. You know, all of them are featuring really great hardware. You're getting just really solid buckles, and the quality is, again, top-notch. And I think for the price you're getting, you know, I think all of these retail for about $40 each, and that is, I think, a really great price for the level of quality that you're getting for a good rubber strap like this. You know, as far as I've seen, they are on par or better than any OEM rubber straps that I have gotten my hands on from, you know, other brands out there. And, you know, in particular, they have just a great vintage look to them as well. If you go to Uncle Seiko's website, you know, what you'll find is a pretty wide variety of options that they got there. Most of what he has done, or what he originally got to start with, was making these kind of almost like reissues of vintage straps that are hard to find anymore. And yet he's taken some modern improvements and tried to make them better, particularly in the rubber formulations that he's using on these. A lot of them just have a really great feel to them. And it's really interesting because they're all a little bit different in the feel. They're using slightly different rubber formulations. So I feel like he's taken each one of these straps individually and tried to pick a type of rubber that really matches that strap and works well for it. So I'll talk about that as well. I've also got a bunch of watches here that I'm going to pair these up with. And one thing to keep in mind is that these were straps that were originally designed to work with Seiko dive watches. And something with Seiko dive watches that is a little bit unique, if you haven't had one before, is that they use kind of a different spring bar system than you typically find. So Seiko uses these 2.5 millimeter kind of fat boy spring bars, and actually the tip, the pin that goes into the spring bar holes on the watch, is thicker than a standard one. So these will not fit in most watches that are not Seiko watches. They'll fit in, you know, pretty much all your Seiko dive watches, but these pins are too fat to fit into, like the tip is too fat, not the hole, not the barrel, but the tip here is too fat to fit into the pinholes on the watch lugs. So if you want to pair these up with a non-Seiko dive watch, he does also sell the same 2.5 millimeter spring bars that have a smaller tip on them, and so these ones will work on pretty much any watch out there as long as you can fit the strap in. I think these retail for just a couple dollars, so if you are planning to pair this up with a non-Seiko watch, make sure you also pick up the spring bars that will fit it. Because the holes on these dive watches are meant to hold that Fat Boy spring bar, so if you put a normal spring bar in there, it's going to be a little bit loose on there, which actually can be good. You know, that actually was helpful when I was trying to get it, you know, paired up, particularly with like the spinnaker. The lugs are really tight in here, so I couldn't actually fit it on with the Fat Boy spring bar in there, but when I used a regular one, it gave me just enough play to get it on there. So it's interesting that you kind of have that option, even though that's not really what it's meant for. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about each of these straps. I'll throw them on the watches, we'll take a look at them, and let you know what I think. Okay, so first off, looking at this GL381, which, you know, at first glance, it looks very similar to kind of what your stock Seiko silicone or rubber straps look like. It's the same basic idea. But it's just got a really cool vintage look to it. And one thing you are going to notice immediately off the bat is the difference in thickness. So the more recent Seiko dive straps, these are made out of the Seiko straps, stock straps, are made out of an incredibly soft and very comfortable silicone rubber, which is comfortable, but silicone is weaker than like natural rubber. And so it has to be thicker. So it's a very thick strap that they make now. And it also picks up dust like crazy. So it's, it's just, it's not quite as nice, I don't think. And that's something that you really see on these ones. The rubber formulation that he used here is just really amazing. It has this great vintage feel to it. It's very soft. It's got just a real natural rubber texture and look to it. And it's very thin too. It's much thinner, and yet it feels, just as secure, just as solid, if not more solid and secure than those silicone straps that Seiko is now putting on their watches. They have this kind of same system on the tip here that is meant to allow the strap to flex a little bit to give you added comfort and security depending on, wrist size changes and that sort of thing. And overall, it works really well. This is one of the most comfortable rubber straps that I have worn. They're also vanilla scented and smell great. I'm going to go ahead and pair it up with this Spinnaker Fleuss dive watch here, and we'll throw it on and let you guys see what that looks like. And again, on the wrist, it is just incredibly comfortable, and it just has a great vintage look to it. Like, I was kind of surprised by that. Like, this style of watch strap, I wasn't too sure about. It looks like, again, very similar to like stock Seiko straps. I never really liked that look, but this one, it looks more vintage and actually pairs well with these kind of more vintage style watches, like like the Spinnaker Fleuss, which is modeled after the vintage Blancpain 50 Fathoms, and so it just looks great on that. One cool detail that he's done on this one, and I think he does this on a lot of the straps that he puts out, is I feel like he kind of does a little bit of an homage to the logo of the company that he is modeling the strap after. So in this case, this is modeled after a Seiko dive strap, and rather than the Seiko logo, it has his Uncle Seiko logo with the U, but it is superimposed over the kind of Great Wave motif. So from a distance, it kind of looks like the Seiko logo, right? But when you get up close, you can see that he's clearly not counterfeiting these straps. He is putting his own branding on them. And this is, I think this is probably a superior strap as far as quality goes than the vintage original ones. Just you're getting a newer rubber formulation that's just a lot nicer than they would have offered back in the 70s or whenever the original was made. So this one turned out to be my surprise favorite of the list. Moving on, we're going to take a look at some just really classic waffle straps, and I really kind of fall in love with the waffle rubber strap. I think it just looks great, very comfortable on the wrist, and works on a wide variety of watches. I went ahead and got the blue one because I wanted to pair that up with my Seiko Samurai with the Pepsi dial. I think that the kind of navy blue really matches well with that. But today I'm going to actually pair this one up, the blue one up, with my Spinnaker Dumas, which also has kind of a blue and red motif going on, and I think it works really well with that. Again, with this one, what I wound up doing was I used a standard spring bar in order to get it in, and I was able to fit it on there, which, a lot of rubber straps don't fit on these Spinnaker Dumas because the lugs are so tight in there, and rubber straps tend to be thicker. But with that kind of little trick of using a smaller size spring bar, I was able to get some extra play and install it, and it still feels pretty secure on the wrist. For the black one, I've got it paired up here with my Aquatico green and bronze dive watch. I think that, for this watch, a black rubber strap with the bronze is the best option for getting it wet. I think the leather strap that came with is cool, but pairing it up on a black rubber strap allows you to actually take it into the water so you can get that patina going and really use it as a dive watch. This is a 1,000 foot or 300 meter dive watch. So I think it deserves a good waterproof strap to put on it. Interesting thing to note, the feel of the rubber on these ones is very different from the GL381. It's not nearly as soft. It's a harder feeling rubber. Almost the surface almost feels a little bit plastic-like, but it's definitely not plastic. It is definitely rubber. So it's a little bit stiffer, but still very comfortable on the wrist. And I think that kind of extra hardness really allows the the waffle texture to stand out and to maintain its shape. And it also keeps it from picking up lint. It's not sticky or tacky at all. So you get this kind of very nice vintage sheen on it that, again, it looks great on the watch and on the wrist. Okay, moving on, we're looking at my second favorite of the rubber straps that came in, and this is a Tropic rubber strap modeled after like the original classic Tropic rubber straps down to the smallest detail. You can see it's just got a really great detailed texture on the surface of it. That's this kind of weave pattern. You're getting all of the air holes that allow the watch to breathe better on the wrist and to dry faster. On the underside, you've got this great waffle pattern as well. And you can see the Uncle Seiko branding there. This one I got to pair with my Yema Navy Graph, which you can actually buy the Navy Graph on a Tropic rubber strap. I got mine on the bracelet. I wanted to get a Tropic rubber strap for this so I could have the option of switching it over if I felt like it. And so I decided to order a 19mm one from Uncle Seiko because they do have a pretty good variety of 19mm rubber straps. So if you are, particularly if you're looking for a 19mm strap to match one of your vintage watches, this is a great way to go. Unfortunately for the 19mm, they do not sell the 2.5mm Fat Boy spring bars in standard pin sizes, so you can only get the Seiko Fat Boy spring bars. So I had to use the stock spring bars that came with my Yema, which are a little bit looser in those holes. The holes are meant to hold 2.5mm ones, so it's a little bit looser on the wrist, but not bad at all. But the comfort and the style is great. The feel of this rubber is very soft, similar to the first one. Not quite as soft. It's definitely a different texture. This is definitely a glossier finish on the front. It's not as much of a matte texture as the GL381. So those are the rubber straps. And again, they're all great straps. Really, can't recommend them highly enough. And I think at the $40 price point they ask, each of these come in at about $40. You can get them in a variety of sizes, and I think they're well worth it at that price. If you are looking for a good, high-quality rubber strap that's going to last you a long time on your dive watches, looks great, feels great, I think this is one of your best options out there. Okay, now they also make bracelets, and they have a lot of different kinds, and most of their bracelets are designed to fit a particular watch. In this case, I have a beads of rice bracelet that was designed to fit the Seiko Samurai. Now you can get this same bracelet also with end links to match, I believe, the SARB, I think the SKX, a number of other ones. He's got this one, a lot of options. This one, I actually ordered my Seiko Samurai on the rubber strap, knowing that I was going to get this, intending to get this particular bracelet to try on, because I really wanted to see what it was going to look like. And I heard that the stock Seiko metal straps weren't that high of quality, weren't that great. So I figured this would be a better option anyways, and I am very happy that I did. It looks great. And I love also having some of those rubber strap options on this one as well. Now, some interesting things about the construction of this one. I believe this one retails for about $80, which I think is, again, a really good price for what you're getting here. The bracelet material here is fantastic. It's just amazingly comfortable. It looks great. It looks great on the watch, on the wrist, and it just drapes so nicely and bends and moves so fluidly, and it's just such a beautiful look. You're getting polished center links on the sort of beads of rice part, and then brushed links around the outside. You get a slight taper to it as well. And yeah, just really high quality. Once I got it on the watch and sized up and everything and attached and got on my wrist, it just felt great. It looked great. It's just, I think, just an amazing option for the Seiko Samurai. Now, that said, I did have a couple of issues with this particular one. But anyways, some of the problems that I've had with this one, the clasps, it seems a little bit sticky when I'm pushing it in. Sometimes I can't get it on and off very easily. It requires a little bit of extra force. It seems to be loosening up the more I use it. So that could just be, some of the tolerances and tightness is a little bit tight in the original shipping, and as you use it, it kind of loosens up. So I'm not as worried about that. One thing that is a little bit more concerning is that this is actually kind of loose, this security thing. I've had it flip out on its own a couple of times, and that I think should be a little bit more secure in there. The other thing to note is that it comes, in this case, with hollow end links, which I think a lot of people, it's going to be a big turnoff. I don't really mind hollow end links that much, and this might be more coming from the kind of vintage aspect where a lot of vintage watches had hollow end links. These work pretty well on the watch. However, these particular end links, I'm not sure if they were sized properly for the watch. I had a really hard time getting it on originally. Like it almost felt like a mod project getting these on. I wound up having to kind of bend them a little bit to get just the right fit. A lot of the trouble that I was having is when I would have it on the watch, the end links would be pressing up against the bottom of the bezel so that the bezel wouldn't be able to turn. It would sort of lock the bezel up when it was like that. In the end, I was able to get a really good fit. It fits great now. It works great. It was really good on the wrist, but it took a lot of time and patience to get it on there. So it felt really good when I finally had it going, but it was kind of frustrating to get it set up there in the first place. Now, again, I suspect that's probably an issue that if you didn't want to deal with that, I'm sure Larry would be happy to help you out in getting replacements or getting something else there. In this case, again, this is one that he sent in for free, and in the end, I was able to get it fit and sized up in a way that I was completely happy with, and I just love the watch on the strap. So I don't have any complaints at this point, but that is something to note and something to keep in mind. When you get it, check it out. And one of the things that, through this, Larry has just been great to talk to and to work through with these kinds of things. I think he's a really good guy, and I think you get some really fantastic customer service from him when you wind up ordering these straps and talking to him. So if you do have any problems, you can definitely contact him and he will help you out. I think he's running a really good ship over there. Now we'll go ahead and wrap up the review for today. Again, highly recommend these straps. I think they are fantastic values for the price, and there is just so much care put into each individual strap and into each individual detail. It's clear, it's very obvious that he's gone through multiple iterations of these. He continues to tweak it and release new versions with different formulations of rubber, and they continue to improve and get better. But they're just really fantastic straps for the price. Again, some of the best that I have come across. And if you are in the market for a rubber strap or a bracelet for your watch and you want something good and high quality, definitely check out their site and see what they got to offer because they might have something that will work really well for you. So that will wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.